You are listening to Larry Conners, USA.
You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth.
This is Larry Conners USA. Larry Conners USA.
I woke up this morning, got myself a gun. Mama always said I'd be the chosen one.
George Washington knew firsthand how awful smallpox was. He caught it as a teenager during a trip to Barbados. It knocked him down for weeks. Rashes, backaches, chills, painful sores, nearly a month of sickness. According to the CDC, smallpox once killed about 30% of its victims. Survivors were usually left with scars, including young George Washington. Decades later, General Washington wrote to the President of the Continental Congress, John Hancock. He passed along concerns that the British were releasing smallpox-infected people into the population. Flat-out biological warfare.
Biological warfare during the Revolutionary War. This is August 7th, 2021. That's a report from Joshua Johnson, host of MSNBC The Week. His information from everything I've seen is true. And inside the truth and inside the story are several questions that we need to be facing. And we have faced to some extent, but the landscape continues to change. We're always, at this point, questioning each and everything. On one hand, that's good, to question each and everything. Regardless of what I say, question for yourself. And then other times you're told, don't question, just follow the orders. Well, which order again? And which science? As I said the other day, the problem we have here with a lot of those pushing for the vaccinations from the beginning and making COVID out to be that it was not going to be a big deal, then it was. It wasn't from China. Now maybe it is. It was a leak. No, it might be. Which science are we supposed to follow? As I said the other day, the only science I see being followed in many cases is political science. But you, your family, your health and your family's health are at stake. So is the same for the rest of Americans and the world itself. There's a study that the CNN was quoting that came from Maggie Fox, and what they found is a study from the Nature Scientific Report that even fully vaccinated people need to start wearing masks again because they found that a fast rate of vaccination decreases the possibility or the probability of emergence of a resistant strain. Basically, the vaccination itself is not enough to stop the spread of variants. So mask up again. Weren't you told? I know you were told. I was told. Get the vax, you won't need the mask. And we reached the point that even Mayor Bill de Blasio of New York City said, I really don't want to tell everybody to go back to masks because it defeats the purpose of trying to get people to get the vaccine. And yet on the other side, we still have a lot of questions about the health concern, rightly so, especially for children. These are not FDA approved yet. They're still in the process. So they are, quote, still experimental, but needed at this point. And the CDC is admitting that nearly 400 children between the ages of 12 and 17 have been diagnosed with heart inflammation after getting the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID vaccine. That coming out just a couple of days ago. And yet at the same time, Dr. Fauci is saying again just yesterday, I don't think we're going to go into a full lockdown, that we don't need to. But also admitting the mask guidance has changed because this Delta variant is so easily transmissible that you might have the vaccine, you might pick up the Delta, and then it won't bother you that much because you're vaccinated, but you might pass it on to someone else that it might. And against this whole background, when you look at the number of COVID deaths in D.C. compared to the number of homicides, The number of homicide deaths in D.C. surpassed coronavirus deaths in that city last month by a 3-to-1 ratio. And yet, look at what they're doing when you're talking about not locking down. Look what they're doing in Australia. They have police helicopters flying back and forth over various parks in Australia, telling people to get inside, stay inside, and sending police through the area to round them up if they don't. And again, if we're going to be told that we're constantly going to really do the best battle to stop COVID, when are we going to shut down the border? I don't want to hear the noise and possibility. I want to say shut it down. Lock and load. Ready on the right.
You can email Larry at LarryConnersUSA@gmail.com. LarryConnersUSA@gmail.com.